I overheard my wife say she never loved me, and our late-night talk changed everything. Late last night, I went to the kitchen for water and heard my wife on the phone with her sister. She was talking low, but the house was quiet and I could hear everything. She said, "I never loved him. I married him because I was pregnant, and I hoped feelings would grow, but they never did." My heart started pounding. We've been together 12 years. We have 2 kids, and we almost never fight, so that sentence hit me like a punch. When she hung up, I stepped in and asked, "Did you mean what you just said?" She looked at my face, didn't try to smile, and said, "Yes." I asked, "So you married me only because you were pregnant?" She nodded once, and I felt my stomach drop. I tried to keep my voice calm, but it shook when I said, "Do you even want to be married to me?" She took a breath and said, "You're a good man. You treat me right. You respect me, and you take care of our kids. We work well together." I said, "That sounds like I'm your teammate, not your husband." She answered, "I'm being honest. I respect you, and I'd never betray you or hurt you." I blurted out, "Isn't love supposed to be part of it?" She didn't get defensive. She just said, "I know what love looks like in real life, and it's not always big feelings." I said, "But I have those feelings, and it feels like I'm the only one carrying them." Then I said the part that has been sitting in my throat for years. "You tell the kids you love them 100 times a day, but with me you go quiet." She stared at the table for a second, like she was choosing her next words carefully. I could hear my pulse in my ears. I waited for her to walk away. I added, "It feels one-sided, and I'm drowning over here." She pulled a chair out and sat down, not to end the talk, but to stay in it. I sat across from her, and my knee bounced so hard the table shook. My mouth was dry, and I kept rubbing my thumb over my ring like it could calm me down. I couldn't stop. I asked, "If you could go back, would you still choose me?" She didn't answer right away, and all I could hear was the fridge hum and a small cough from our son's room. Then she said, "Yes, but not for the reasons you think." She told me that before me, she dated a guy named Elliot for 3 years. He looked perfect on the outside, but at home, he needed control, and she felt like she was always being measured. He tried to pick her friends, her clothes, even where she spent her time, and she slowly stopped calling people just to keep the peace. She said he threw around, "I love you," a lot, but it never felt safe. Then she got pregnant with our oldest, and she panicked because she knew he would push her to end it or vanish from his life. Her hands were shaking when she said that, and I could tell she hated admitting it. She looked at me and said, "With you, the second you found out, you started talking about baby names and how we'd make it work." I remembered that night clearly, me trying to act brave while my brain raced. She said, "That's when I realized you were choosing me, even when things were hard." I swallowed and said, "But you still told your sister you never loved me." She nodded and said, "At the start, I didn't feel love. I felt fear and relief." Then she said, "But love can grow into something real, built on what someone does, not what they say." I stared at her and asked, "Do you love me now?" She reached for my hand and said, "I love the man who held my hair when I got sick during pregnancy." She said, "I love the man who learned to braid our daughter's hair from videos because she asked." I just stared back. She said, "I love the man who brings me coffee on Sunday mornings because you remember I like it." My eyes burned, and I hated that I couldn't hide it. She squeezed my hand and said, "I love that you stayed and asked me." I whispered, "So why did it feel like you were holding back, like you were keeping me at arm's length?" She said, "I was scared you only stayed for the kids, and I didn't want to get rejected." I exhaled and said, "I was scared too. I thought if I needed you more, you'd think I was weak." She nodded like she understood, and she said, "Sometimes I show it in small ways, because big words used to be used against me." Then she said, "Like how I save you the last slice when we order pizza, even though it's my favorite." She said, "And how I back you up when my mom gets critical, because I won't let anyone talk down to you." I felt something in my chest loosen, because I could picture those moments and they were real. She squeezed my fingers and said, "I didn't marry you because I loved you. I love you because I married you." I took a shaky breath and said, "I don't need perfect words. I just need to know you want me." She looked at me and said, "I want you, and I choose you." Then she stood up, wrapped her arms around me, and held on like she meant it. Now her sister is saying I pressured her into love. Was I wrong for asking?